Welcome, good morning, welcome to Church at Home.
Yes, it's good to see you this morning. You got the gals today.
Yeah.
No Jacob, just Danny and Tree. Very excited to see you this morning. Hey, if it's your first time, then that will make no sense to you whatsoever, but we are so stoked that you've joined us. And there's so many ways that you can connect into this amazing community. You can head to the app to see all the different ways, but we've got young adults ministry, there's an amazing youth ministry, there's stuff for prime timers, there's life groups, there's active, just 1,000 different ways. If there's something you're interested in, there's a way you can connect in this place. So we'd love to get to know you more.
Absolutely. So you can find all of that info on the app.
Yes.
If you're ever not sure what's going on, there's so much just in the events section. Just have a little scroll. It's super fun.
It's like healthy scrolling, I reckon. This is okay to scroll when it's in the Gateway app.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you things to look forward to. It's like when I turn 60 plus, I can go to prime timers lunch and all those kinds of things.
Danny's just sitting there waiting to turn 60.
I'm not.
Jacob is, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you're there, why don't you check out the other areas of the app? Like we've got our prayer wall. It's probably currently our fave new section of the app.
Very cool.
Love to keep our finger on the pulse of what the prayer needs are for the community. And you can just check out what the people are asking for prayer for. You can commit to pray by hitting the little like button. It's a really special way of just like keeping in community with each other, I find.
Yeah, and it's always nice to know what people are wanting prayer for. So when you're having that time at home and you can kind of go out of your own little world and go, okay, what is it that the people in my community, like my family, are actually wanting and needing prayer for? I love that.
Yeah, my life group, we love to pray over the prayer wall every couple of weeks. So it's fun.
Yeah, that's a nice tradition. I like that.
Yeah. So, and also just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who is giving week in, week out. We see you. We couldn't do any of this without you. And so we're just really grateful and thankful for that. So if you do want to get involved with giving, you can just head to the app or the link below, and we'd love to get you along this journey of living generously.
Yes, love that. Now, school holidays have just started, right? I'm loving it. I personally love the school holidays. I take my time off so I can hang out with the kids and stuff, but it can be a bit like, what are we going to do? And also a little bit draining. Sometimes you get to the end of the day and you're like, I just need some me time. But good news, we've got you covered. In a couple of weeks, Footloose, the musical, is coming out at Gateway, and this will be either your you time or something fun to take the kids to.
Amazing.
So win. It's running from the 4th to the 13th of October, and it is such an awesome, energetic show with a really good story, full of dancing, and just so much fun. And do you know what? Every time Gateway does a show, it's always amazing. Yeah. And it always just makes me so happy. So look, in case you can't tell, I'm a huge musical theatre fan. You give me a show, I'll go to it.
Yeah.
But so I might be the wrong person to plug this because I'm slightly biased.
I'm here for it.
Do you know what? They've put so much work and time into this. So let's support all the cast and crew by going and cheering and just enjoying it. It's gonna be
absolutely.
awesome.
I think there's 5 shows.
Yes.
5 different ones. So you can even go to the first one and then find out how amazing it is and invite all your friends. You can bet it.
Yes. Because you always get the people who go, oh, if I knew it's going to be this good, I would have brought my friends.
Exactly.
So come to the first one, then you'll know it's this good, and then you can bring your friends to the last one.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, it's just going to be great. And it's also our adult show, which is, I think, a little bit more fun than, not more fun, but...
Wow, did you just insult all of our...
I realise that right now. But I love seeing the adults. Kids are so easy to get out of the shell and be silly and fun.
So true.
But I love seeing adults just breaking that barrier as well. Yeah. So...
Get everyone involved.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So we'll love to see you there. Another really fun update is that our team just got back from PNG a couple of weeks ago, and they were there doing our major fundraising events for the year.
Yeah.
So for the very first time, we had a fashion show,
which
looked incredible. We had adults, and there was kids, and there was everyone, and it was just incredible. I heard Jacob even hit the catwalk at the end.
That 100% does not surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise us at all.
At all.
Yeah, so it was amazing. They also had a golf day and a chairman's dinner, and I heard that they got way more people along than they regularly do.
So good.
7 more teams than normal, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
For the golf day. So they're still tallying the financial impact, but Tim Costello, who we all know and love, went along, and this is what he had to say.
So I'm Tim Costello. I'm very, very pleased to be in Port Moresby in the Gateway School here in Moitaka. On the way here, we pass government schools that really are buildings that should be torn down. And then you see the Gateway School with these beautiful colours, with these kids with uniforms, with a canteen that feeds them, and kids who would not get an education being given a chance, and suddenly your spirit soar. This is a little bit of the kingdom of God thanks to Gateway Church here in Moresby. The only job adults really have is to protect and educate children, to give children a chance. And when 60% of kids in New Guinea do not even get a year of primary school, here is Gateway with over 250 students, bright, shining faces given a chance. Nothing is more moving than that.
Oh, I love that video. It's such a beautiful encouragement, and Tim is such an incredible man. We love him so much at Gateway. If you're interested in learning a bit more about Tim's story and who he is, we did a take 3 with him a few weeks ago. So you can check out the archives and go and have a look at that. And if you don't know what a take 3 is, you're about to find out, because we've got a take 3 with Karen Banton-Smith this morning.
Yeah.
She has got such a powerful story about what it is like to fight against incredible injustice and just really difficult circumstances.
Yeah, and honestly, she is such an incredible woman.
Yeah.
You know, she's walked through some really hard times, and I know she has a lot of wisdom to share on God in grief.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really good morning.
Check this out.
Well, good morning, Gateway. I am so excited to be with you today with Karen Banton-Smith for another Take 3, where we invite someone who has just an interesting life story to tell us a bit about themselves through the lens of 3 songs or 3 pieces of music that have meant something to them during their life. And Karen Banton-Smith, welcome. Welcome. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you, Marcy.
She and her husband Rod have become beloved parts of the Gateway family and have only been with us for, 2 years? It's fairly recent, isn't it?
A bit over 2
2
years.
And when you and Rod walked in the door of Gateway, we really had no idea of, the journey that you'd been on, but we have heard it from you and done some study, and it's just blown my mind. And the reason we're doing this on video is that Karen is actually suffering from a rare version of Parkinson's disease, which doesn't respond to drugs, and it's affecting her fine motor skills and her ability to communicate. So we thought to do it on video, you wouldn't have to do it twice, and we'd have a chance to hear your story. So we're so honoured to have you with us.
Thank you.
So just a little bit about Karen's background. It's a pretty normal Aussie woman background, born in Sydney, and you gave your heart to Jesus.
No.
You weren't born in Sydney?
I was born in England.
Oh, okay. So
I'm a 10-pound pom.
Gotcha. But came to Sydney as a child, gave your heart to Jesus when you were a kid. And, you say you weren't in a perfect family, but who was? But a loving family. You met your husband, Doug, and married when you were 22. But you said that you were not really part of a church through your 20s.
No, that's right.
But Dean, your son, was born after you were married for 5 years, and you started to talk with Doug about, having the baby dedicated, and that was the time when you decided to come back to church. Now, all good so far. Fairly normal Aussie family. So let's start with your first song, Karen, because you were John Denver fans, incredible singer, and you went to the Entertainment Centre in Sydney to see his concert, and you heard a song there that you loved, of course, called There Was Never a Doubt. So let's have a listen to that song.
There was never a doubt, never a doubt in my mind. We weren't meant to be lonely, never a doubt. I knew that I'd find you someday. There was never a doubt. After all of those nights all alone, all those there was never a doubt in my mind. I suppose there have been times when you felt like a room filled with darkness, not a window around. There must have been moments you felt you were truly alone. Then again, each of us knows in a night of unbearable sadness, still a light can be found in each morning.
So Karen, with John Denver's beautiful voice, one of the lyric lines is, each of us knows in a night of unbearable sadness, still a light can be found. So what was that light for you?
Well, that light for me and many others is Jesus. And it's so true that in a night of unbearable sadness, you know, he can be found. And any even if it's not a night of unbearable sadness, he can be found.
And it's so amazing how God works, because he put that song in your heart, you not knowing that you were about to need that light.
Sure did.
So you're now about 28. You have a young baby, about 18 months old, and something happens that just upends everything. What happened, Karen?
My husband, Doug, suddenly died of a heart attack.
So how old would he have been?
He was a lot older than me,
Yeah.
but he was too young to die.
Yeah.
And he was a new father again.
Yeah.
He had a couple of kids from a previous marriage.
Yeah.
And, it turned my world upside down.
You told me that you went to church on the day before Doug's funeral, and that you had a deep experience of Jesus that day.
Very memorable.
What did he say to you that day?
Well, I went down for prayer because everyone knew that my husband had just died and he was being buried the next day. And I surrendered completely to God, and I said to him, I'm going to do it your way now, Lord. I haven't always done it your way. And I just felt the Holy Spirit whisper. It was as if the Holy Spirit whispered to me, everything is going to be okay.
And at the celebration of Doug's life, they were setting up the afternoon tea, and there was a lovely man there who was helping out to set the tables up, and you met him that day, and his name was Bernie.
Well, I'd seen him around church because we'd been going there we started going there when Dean was 3 months.
Yeah.
And so he was 16 months when Doug died.
Yeah.
So we'd been going there a bit over a year.
So that friendship with Bernie developed into something stronger than
Well,
friendship.
I hadn't even been introduced to him before the fellowship tea. And there's a bit of a story about that, but
we won't go there today.
we won't go there.
There's always a story.
and yes, a friendship developed.
Yeah.
And he was like everyone else at the church. He was very helpful and considerate and offered, if I needed my lawns mowing.
Yeah, how kind.
Sort of thing.
So you and Bernie married later that year, and that song, that John Denver song, Never a Doubt, was sung at your wedding, which is really beautiful. So you've got 7 years of a loving marriage, and then Bernie's health starts to deteriorate. So what did you discover about his health?
Well, we actually went down to Threadbow to go skiing, and we were all kitted up, and we bought our lift tickets and everything like that. And Bernie said to me, "Dal, I can't breathe." And I said, just like this, "What do you mean you can't breathe?" Because we had that's the first indication. And of course, because of the higher altitude, so he sat out the whole time that we were there. Dean was about 5.
Yeah.
And we came back to Sydney, and he seemed fine. So then at the end of that year, the very end, we were at a New Year's party, and a lady entered the room, and Bernie knew straight away who she was. And she was the widow of one of his shift foremen at James Hardy.
So Bernie worked in the asbestos industry,
Yeah,
for James Hardy.
as a part-time job,
Right.
like a second job.
Yeah.
He was a painter and decorator by trade.
Right, but
And-
he would often be covered in this
Oh,
white
always.
dust of,
Every
of
shift.
asbestos. So you discovered through that he had asbestosis.
Yes, well, once it was a light bulb moment for me when Bernie recognised Eileen, the widow, and when I heard the talk of and her husband, of course, had died of mesothelioma.
Yeah.
And when I heard all the talk of asbestos, I knew instantly why he'd been breathless a few
Yeah.
months earlier
I
into
can
the dry.
I can imagine that was like a sick feeling to come to that realisation.
And we just bought a new house to us,
Yeah.
and of course it was double story. So we found out pretty quickly when we moved in that Bernie had trouble going up to
Going up the stairs.
all the bedrooms were upstairs.
So I can imagine there was doctor's appointments and all sorts of things, but Bernie applied for compensation with James Hardy, and he actually won a compensation for his own health. But what was amazing is that he wasn't prepared to settle for that, because he realised there was a huge injustice. There were so many people that he would have worked with that were suffering and will continue to suffer as more people would come out with this terrible disease. So that was the start of an epic battle.
Yes.
Now, we're going to see just a short video which will just show you a little bit about the work that Bernie and Karen were involved in.
He had a heart of gold. The first 7 or so years of our marriage, we were just like any other couple, like any other family. Very much in love, and once he was diagnosed with asbestosis and asbestos-related pleural disease, it really changed our life dramatically. Life was never quite the same once he took on the all-consuming role of fighting on behalf of other sufferers. He was just the right person to take on the campaign against the perpetrators of his asbestos disease and so many others. Certain politicians, a whole lot of people that were involved in trying to fight that campaign. And Bernie just happened to be the man of the hour that's really, I guess, brought the emotion. Fortunately, he was relatively well enough then to go out each day and fight the fight. For Bernie, it was just a case of justice, and he just did not want people to be denied compensation. We kept on fighting to get the right result. You know, many a times we would be in tears together, but through it all, both Bernie and I firmly believed that victory would be won in the end. It wasn't until the company started paying the money into the newly created fund that was set up, that's when we finally felt, oh, it's done. It had just been an all-consuming process. Months after that, of course, Bernie started becoming really unwell and ultimately diagnosed with mesothelioma. Bernie knew that he'd fought the good fight. His role had come to an end. And before that calendar year was through, he'd gone.
So this was an incredible fight for justice, and Bernie was the face. As you can see this photograph here, you were being interviewed on Andrew Denton's program Enough Rope.
Yes.
So Bernie was very much the face of the fight, but you were there with him every minute, holding him up.
Doing all the emails and all that.
All of the background stuff.
Room stuff.
Yeah. What was your darkest moment during those years, Karen?
There were a few of those.
I bet there were.
We always had a sense that good would triumph in the end over evil, but it was one step forward, two steps back, so many times that you got despairing occasionally.
And you were saying that you and Bernie got to look into the face of corporate evil at its worst.
Yes, that the some people on the board of James Hardie Industries, they seemingly didn't care.
Yeah.
And had been there from the time that at the end of the asbestos era, because James Hardie, the company, kept producing asbestos products 17 years after everyone else in this country stopped.
Wow. So that it's a bit like the tobacco story.
So they had a monopoly.
And they knew it was dangerous, very dangerous to health.
They knew.
Yeah.
Back, the first registered death of asbestos disease was in 1898 in England.
Wow.
So the dangers were well established.
Incredible. So during that time, that incredible fight that you're going through and you know, standing in the face of evil, where was Jesus for you in that time?
Oh, he was a constant. I don't know how we would have got through without Jesus in our lives. He was a very presence for us, both Bernie and I.
It's amazing because you guys were right at the forefront of a fight for justice. And we often think of Jesus being with us in those, those emotional moments when we need comfort, but he's also standing with us in the battle, isn't he? He's fighting for justice, and there's a place for holy anger.
Yeah, well, I haven't had too much time for being angry. It's a wasted emotion as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you channeled it. You channeled it into something that was going to do good for people.
But I certainly didn't blame God for our predicament.
Yeah.
Because God wasn't. He has plans for us to, declares the Lord.
Jeremiah 29,
Yeah.
plans I have for you to give you hope in the future.
Verse 11,
Yeah.
And he loves us.
Yeah.
And unconditionally, by the way,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't God's doing. He weaves the things that happen in our lives round to making it better in some way. And I'm a firm believer in that.
So, when Bernie died, you were offered a state funeral by the government, and you took that offer. And his funeral was at the Acer Arena, and there were over 3,000 people there. So let's go to your second song, Karen, which is a song called "Running Up That Hill." It was written by Kate Bush, but there was a cover that was done by the band Placebo, and this song was used as the backing for a short film that someone put together about Bernie's fight. So we're just gonna watch a little bit of that.
It's very haunting.
Yeah. I can only imagine, Karen, that Bernie would have every right to have a lot of anger. Now, you mentioned that you felt you were never angry at God, that you felt it was a wasted emotion. But tell me about Bernie. Was he able to forgive at the end, forgive the corporate evil that had come against him and the other people he was fighting for?
At the very end, thanks to his youngest brother, Brian, who came and had communion with us while Bernie was in Concord Hospital up in Sydney. And Brian challenged him before we had communion and said, "Now, Bern, you need to consider forgiving
Forgiveness,
the
wow.
perpetrators of your dilemma. And Bernie said at first, "Oh, mate, that's a hard one."
Yeah, I bet.
And we all ended up in tears. And he came to a place as he took communion to forgive the people that had caused all this, not only for him, but for thousands upon thousands of others, when it was all unnecessary.
And did you perceive a change in Bernie's soul at the end there after he'd been able to forgive?
Well, I know that he didn't fear death.
Yeah.
When you have that assurance of where you're going, and you know, he was a pretty colourful character in his own right, and he'd made mistakes in his life, as we all do, and things he wasn't proud of. But he came from his father was a retired pastor.
So he had that Christian
and
foundation.
his father actually married us. Officiated at a marriage at 91 years of age.
Well, speaking of marriage, there's one thing about the way God has guided and been with you over your life, that there seems to have always been something precious on the horizon. So after Bernie's death, we're going to see a little bit more of a video about your continuing story.
When Bernie passed away, I found myself stepping into very big shoes. It was actually 18 months after Bernie passed away that I set up the Bernie Banton Foundation together with some friends to fill a gap that I perceived was there, where people really needed support and they needed that navigation of the pathway ahead. Bernie did it while he was alive. We would go together and visit people in hospital who had mesothelioma or an asbestos-related disease, so it was just really a progression of the work we'd done together.
Karen had started the foundation in 2009. Of course, Karen was offering support. She actually contacted Julie. She did come and visit us and become really, one of Julie's best friends, if you like.
I had the privilege of meeting Julie, his late partner. She was a beautiful lady. He and Julie resurrected a similar organisation down in Victoria.
By the time Julie died, I was out of everything. I'd stopped my involvement with the Asbestos Disease Society of Victoria. So I joined Karen with the foundation.
It was just a progression of him then moving into the role of support coordinator with the Bernie Banton Foundation. I just admire Rod so much. He is so gifted in being able to put people's minds at ease, and it just touches my heart every time I hear him support someone, whether it be by phone or in person.
One thing led to another, I guess, and it was fairly natural as far as that went. That's basically how we got together.
The combination of Rod and I coming together as a couple and working together to support people is quite unique, really, because of our joint experience that we had.
It was a union of love formed out of tragedy.
I believe it is a purpose and a real calling to give back to others and to try and make their burden a little lighter, if you like.
Well, Karen, you have buried two loves, but then God being God, in all of his mercy, there's a union of love which is formed out of that tragedy.
And some people don't find love once.
No.
I found it 3 times.
A few people need to know your secret. Anyway, you and Rod married in 2012. And I believe that you were responsible for Rod finding Jesus because he wasn't a Christian when you first knew him. So just tell me that story about how Rod came to know
Well,
God.
I give the glory to God.
Of course you do.
But yes, he pestered me actually to find out more about Christianity. And
And just a little bit of detail here. Rod had also lost his partner to mesothelioma. That's hard to say, which is a terrible...
you're not the first one.
terrible cancer. And anyway, so you were telling the story. He was pestering you.
Yeah, to tell him more about Christianity. And I was running the Bernie Banton Foundation, and while it was a faith-based charity, you have to be quite careful about not to overstep the mark.
Yeah.
And you know, sort of.
Because you're helping people of all faiths and beliefs.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I was a bit reluctant to go there, but he just kept pestering and pestering, and I found myself in the end over the phone, me in Sydney, him down here, and walking him through giving
his life to
Jesus. And
That's wonderful.
And the sinner's prayer effectively.
Wow. Wow.
And that was.
The rest is history.
Yes.
Well, let's have a listen to your third and final song, and I particularly love this song.
What is there a reason why?
You've chosen, and I had no say in this.
No, you didn't.
Man of Colours, which is a beautiful Ivor Davis song from Icehouse, but sung by our very own Michael Painter.
Beautifully.
So let's hear a little bit of Man of Colours.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a point of the evening I'm always very excited to introduce our youngest member, Mr. Michael Painter.
There's a noise upstairs in the attic. See, it's the shuffle of worn out shoes and the scent of the oil and brushes. You drift down like a pale perfume. And he says, I am a man, a simple man, a man of color, and I can see through the years of a man of color.
So Karen, we all love this song, but why have you chosen this one?
Well, it's particularly a favourite of Rod's. It has been for a long time, but like Placebo's version of running that up that hill, that kept Rod going as he was caring for Julie, and likewise, Man of Colours has become a secular anthem for Rod as he cares for me,
Yeah, beautiful.
I feel.
Beautiful. Now, you guys wound up the Mesothelioma Foundation in 2020, but the legacy of help and financial support for the sufferers of that terrible disease continues. And because you and Bernie and Rod were prepared to do the hard kingdom work of seeking justice. You know, it might seem cruel after everything you've been through that you're the one now that has to fight this major health battle that you're going through, you and Rod. How is your soul today?
Well, I feel it's in the best place that it has ever been. I'm still a work in progress. Where there's life, there's hope, and to develop it more. I'm not saying I've arrived. If I'd arrived, I wouldn't be breathing anymore. So I haven't worked it all out, but
You know where you're going.
Yeah, I know where I'm going, but the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
I'm in the best place that I've ever been with my relationship with God, and that's and I'm limited on what I can do these days. So it gives me more time to read the Word and other spiritual books.
Yeah.
And I can't even write properly anymore. So I used to love journaling, but I have to be selective what I can do.
Yeah.
And my speech is obviously affected. So I do more listening these days than talking. That's not a bad thing.
Karen, I'm proud that you are part of our church family. And I just want to say thank you to you for the battles that you fought and your faithfulness. And God gave me this verse for you, which is Micah 6:8. What does the Lord require of us? To do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And that's what you've done. Well done, good.
And that's what I'm endeavouring to do even more of as the days go forth.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for selecting me to tell my story. It's his story, really.
Yeah, thank you.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Yes, his love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed.
back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my hope forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown me love. God, you have only just begun, so come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. There's so much better to come. When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my hope forever, what a beautiful view.